We told you to stay out of here.
Do you now, White player? You think this is some kind of joke?
You're not welcome in this town.
He was just trying to eat breakfast when two cops decided to make an example of him. Then he made one quiet phone call, and two careers began to crack like cheap glass. It's a gray Tuesday in Mon, Georgia, the kind that makes the streetlights look sleepy. Inside the Vines Diner, the coffee is stubborn, the griddle never cools, and the regulars know each other by the sound of their footsteps. In the back booth sits Malachi Reed, black, late 40s, quiet. His jacket is army green, and older than half the plates in the place. He folds his hands before he speaks, says please, and thank you, and tips in neatly ironed ones. He lives between shelters and borrowed couches, but in here he belongs. Morning, Mal, says Lila, the waitress who can keep 5 tables happy with one raised eyebrow. Morning, he answers. Eggs the usual way. Gus, the owner, glances over the top of his glasses. Man could run this place better than me with both hands tied. He mutters, but his smile is soft. In this diner, Malachi isn't a problem to be handled. He's family. The doorbell stutters, then stills. 2 officers walk in like they own the linoleum. Sergeant Nolan, broad, jaw like a brick, and Officer Pike, square-faced, clipboard tucked in his elbow. Sir, Nolan says, already pointed at Malachi. You a paying customer here? I am, Malachi replies, calm as the clock. Receipt? Pike asks. He's fine, Lila cuts in. Every Tuesday. Paid cash. Nolan doesn't look at her. Did I ask you? Gus shifts behind the counter, warning in his voice. Sergeant, we got a complaint. Nolan lies without blinking, eyes never leaving Malachi. ID. Malachi slides a worn leather wallet across the table. A VA card catches the fluorescent light. That all you got? Pike smirks. It's all I need, Malachi says. Chairs hush against tile. Even the radio seems to turn itself down. How long you plan to sit here? Nolan asks. Long enough to eat my breakfast. Lila sets the plate down like placing a shield. He ordered. He paid. You homeless? Pike presses. I don't have a house, Malachi says. But I have a home in this town. Smart mouth, Nolan mutters. Stand up. Why? Malachi asks, not moving, the fork steady in his hand. I served. Twice. I pay for my plate. What law am I breaking? Loitering. Disorderly conduct. Pick one. Nolan palms his cuffs. Gus's voice turns steel. Not in my diner. Nolan leans in. Outside. Now. Malachi exhales. He reaches into his jacket, slow, palms open, and pulls out an old flip phone, scratched like it's been through deserts. He opens it, presses one button, listens. It's happening again, he says, and closes the phone. Silence lands like a gavel. Who'd you call? Pike asks, suddenly smaller. My ride, Malachi answers. For once, you'll want to be polite. The door doesn't ring when it slams open. A man in a navy suit and a plain overcoat crosses the room with the quiet authority of someone who never asks twice. He flashes a black leather case. Special Agent Damon Kincaid, Department of Justice. Badge numbers. Now. Pike swallows. Nolan bluffs. With all due respect. Kincaid's voice doesn't rise, it tightens. Both of you are on a recorded contact, with no articulable suspicion. This man is a veteran, not a vagrant. Step outside. We'll speak in your cruiser. They hesitate like kids caught with a broken window. Then the uniforms retreat into daylight, shoulders hard, eyes darting. The diner breathes again. Kincaid turns to Malachi, tone changing like a key change in a hymn. You good? Malachi nods once. Didn't want to call. I know, Kincaid says, but you shouldn't have to argue for a chair. He leaves a card face down. If anyone else tries something, call that number. 2 hours later, the bell rings and a teenager in a hoodie holds out her phone with both hands. You're trending, she says, like she's handing him a storm. Bodycam footage, Nolan's questions, Lila's defense, the cuffs ready, the flip phone, the DOJ, has already escaped its chain. It runs wild across timelines and tickers, stitched, captioned, outraged. By lunch, local news calls it another line crossed. By evening, think pieces chew it to bones and hashtags build little campfires in the dark. Hashtag we see Malachi. Hashtag seat at the diner. With noise comes digging. Someone posts a grainy photo from 2007. 3 soldiers in sand-stung gear. A 4th man's shadow cutting across their boots. Caption, Sergeant. Malachi Reed, Task Force Sentinel, Fallujah. A redacted commendation leaks next. Heavy black bars and one visible sentence. Actions directly resulted in lives saved. He never bragged. He never would. The internet does it for him. Meanwhile, in the quiet, real life arrives. A letter from the VA, apology in government font, a housing voucher, a caseworker with eyes that meet his. Didn't ask for this. Malachi says, "You earned it long before today." The young caseworker replies, "At City Hall, microphones multiply. The chief's apology tastes like cardboard. Nolan is suspended. Pike resigns before the ink can dry. Old complaints, once shelved, slide back into daylight, and this time the dust doesn't settle. In the diner, people keep approaching the booth like it's a museum exhibit. I'm not an attraction." Malachi tells Lila. "You're a mirror," she says softly. "Not everyone likes what they see." Days pass. The storm doesn't blow over, it reroutes. The headlines fade, but the conversations don't. Teachers ask him to speak. A shelter director asks him to mentor. He says yes more than he says no, which feels risky and right. Sunday morning, the Vine's diner is itself again. Eggs hissing, forks chattering, the radio stubbornly optimistic. Malachi stands instead of sitting. He doesn't clear his throat. He just begins, like a hymn everyone already knows. "I didn't come here to be a story," he says. "I came for eggs and a seat." Gus looks down and polishes a mug that's already clean. Lila wipes at an eye pretending it's dust. "I wore this jacket when the sand could swallow you without chewing." Malachi continues. "I watched brothers give everything to a country that forgets our names the minute we take off the uniform. I don't want parades. I want people to stop measuring worth by an address." A fork stops midway to a mouth. The radio seems to listen. "Being poor isn't a crime," he says. "Being tired isn't disrespect. Asking for a plate and a little piece shouldn't trigger suspicion. There are thousands like me, quiet, invisible, still standing. If you want to help, start by seeing them." He nods once, sits. No one claps. No one needs to. Respect doesn't always make noise. That afternoon, Malachi picks up a small key from the VA. It is cold and heavier than it looks. He walks to a place where the door opens when he turns it. He sets his jacket on a chair and listens to the new silence. It is not empty. It is full. Weeks later, the diner is back to arguing about sports and weather. But every Tuesday, there's a chair that stays open just a heartbeat longer than the others, in case a person who looks like they don't belong finally walks in. And if anyone asks, Lila just smiles and says, "Everyone belongs somewhere. Try here." If this story reached you, let it do more than echo. Buy someone a coffee. Learn a name. Leave room at your table. And when someone quietly asks for a seat, make sure the answer is yes, before they have to make the call.